2020 budget released last month introduced the Your Future, Your Super package superannuation reform. One of the proposed changes is to monitor the investment performance of superannuation funds relative to benchmarks based on listed assets, and to penalise products which underperform. While the aim of raising overall performance is sound, the implementation is flawed and may lead to unintended consequences unless significant changes are made. Last week, our investment experts penned an insight blog highlighting the impacts of this proposal on super funds and ultimately the retirement savings of their members.
Yes, that's right, Jennifer. The overarching effect of the proposed measures would likely be to pressure funds to forgo opportunities for long-term outperformance, because that's what they need to do to mitigate the risks of underperformance against a nominated benchmark.
What are some specific examples for the different asset classes funds adopt?
The biggest impact is likely to be on how funds determine their allocations to higher performing unlisted assets. These allocations might be reduced to minimize the risk and impact of any underperformance against the nominated benchmark, which will happen from time to time, even over 8-year periods, simply because of differences between the makeup of an unlisted portfolio and the resulting high tracking error against the benchmark based on listed securities. Some funds could fail even slightly on overall investment performance, even while doing well in other areas such as retirement solutions or life insurance, which are also very effective and important parts of overall member outcomes.
What about the impact of investment fees for the nominated benchmarks?
For a typical balanced portfolio, the benchmark fees will range from about 8 to 11 basis points, depending on how much they allocate to unlisted assets. So funds would likely be forced to decide where the best opportunities are for them to outperform the benchmark by more than the cost of active management. For many funds, this will mean that they become more passive in Australian equities than would otherwise be optimal, both for the fund's own investment strategies and for the system as a whole, with reference to the role of funds in pricing of assets.
Are there any specific implications for infrastructure?
Infrastructure would be a really difficult area. The proposed benchmark is based on global listed infrastructure, with 80% in North America and only 2.7% in Australia. This is fundamentally different from the strategies which have worked very well for many leading funds. Benchmarking infrastructure returns in this way would discourage infrastructure investment, and especially would discourage investment in Australian infrastructure. The new system will lead to change behaviour, not necessarily for the better. At best, there will be increased herding. At worst, there could be pockets of gaming, and you could even have funds which are lagging, taking excessive risks to try and catch up. We do hope that funds stay the course and continue to seek outperformance in unlisted asset classes, irrespective of the framework, but that might be too optimistic. The reality is that funds will be forced to watch the benchmarks carefully and limit their investment flexibility if the measures are implemented as currently proposed. We really do hope that following consultation, the measures are substantially improved.